This playlist will put together a set of video modules that go over the problems in the fourth test that was given during the fall of 2019 on concepts, definitions and meaning, and informal fallacies. The first 8 questions are true or false questions, worth 1 point each. First question. According to Wallace, concepts help us to balance the amount and complexity of information against the limitations of our cognitive resources. This is true. In our concepts and definition chapter, we notice that our working memory is very small and that our concepts help to break up the world into chunks and associate those chunks, those categorized bits, with a manageable amount of relevant information. So that is true. The intentional meaning of a term can be empty. Intentional meanings are a formula, a conventional way of picking out the kind of thing that the term refers to. So even terms that have an empty extension have to have an intention. So terms like Pegasus, terms like leprechaun, they have an empty extension, but they still have an intention. They're non-empty intention, and so that is false. No two terms can have the same extensional meaning. The extensional meaning of a term is just the things in the world that it picks out. And so any two terms that pick out the same set of things, that is a set of terms that have the same extensional meaning. And again, if I have terms that pick out nothing, they will definitely have the same extensional meaning. So the number and kind of things picked out by the concept of unicorn is exactly the same as the number and kinds of things picked out by monitor. And so as a result, they have the same extensional meaning, the same empty set as the meaning of their term in extensional meaning. So that is false. Formal fallacies are invalid inductive arguments. A formal fallacy is an invalid argument, that's true, but invalid is an evaluative term that applies only to deductive arguments, not to inductive arguments. And so formal fallacies are invalid deductive arguments. So number 4 is also false. People who seem to possess concepts and use those concepts with considerable success often cannot formulate anything like a rigorous definition of that concept. This was a fact observed in psychological research on concepts and categorization that was reported in that chapter on concepts, definitions, and meaning. So people can point to particular objects, can be very facile at categorizing them without being able to formulate anything like a set of individually necessary and jointly sufficient conditions for being that kind of thing. So you might be able to quickly and with relative ease categorize things as instances of a game without being able to formulate what it is to be a game. Or you might be able to categorize objects as trees without being able to formulate what it is that distinguishes a tree from other kinds of plants. So that would be true. Concepts can only be vague, whereas only words can be ambiguous. That would be false. Concepts and words can be both vague and ambiguous. Number 7, cognitive economy refers to the balancing of too much or irrelevant information against too little information. ideally finding the balance wherein a cognizer has access to a manageable amount of highly relevant information. This was exactly how we described and discussed that notion of cognitive economy in the concepts, definitions, and meaning chapter. So that would be true. Emotive meaning captures our understanding of objects, properties, events, and relations through the perspective of normative standards, evaluative standards, and or emotions. That is also true. That is what we said was the significance of emotive meaning, how it assigns significance to events. So that is true.